Welcome back to another episode of the One-on-One podcast. I feel like it's been a few weeks since we've gotten to record an episode, so we're very excited to be back in the studio. I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Kathy Baker, and also our other partner, Ryan Esteban, our video producer. So welcome both of you.
Yes, and I want to thank you guys because I've never been one of the cool kids, and I'm still not. I'm like the old lady, but I feel really cool when I'm hanging out with y'all, and I am so thankful that we get to see Ryan today. He's a lot of the magic, Josh. You know that, and I want everybody to get to know him better. And I'm glad everybody gets to see that beautiful face today.
Agreed. So I have the pleasure of sharing an office with Ryan and seeing him all the time, and we are good friends outside of this, but all of you kind of only know him as the voice of God. He has this beautiful, deep voice, but you never actually get to see his beautiful face. So here it is for everyone. And the three of us are kind of going to be chatting about just a little bit of a reset today. We're halfway through the year. We were talking off camera and we kind of wanted to just discuss, reevaluating what the rest of the year looks like, both personally and professionally, and hopefully providing some inspiration to our listeners. So yeah, where do you guys want to start?
I mean, I think obviously I want to thank you guys for welcoming me in to the visual side of it now. I wish it was under better circumstances, but obviously everybody out there, I think it kind of just plays into the topic this week of having that reset. There's things that happen in your personal life that could bleed into your professional life, and it changes kind of how you have to adjust to things. And for me personally, I ruptured my Achilles last month, and that's kind of been something I've had to get used to. There's been a lot of change, which is why, Josh is at the studio right now, kind of taking the reign on the production side of it while I'm here at home recovering and trying to help him. But, I think that's just kind of one of those things where it's you have to find a way to adapt to, these unforeseen circumstances that happen in your life.
Yeah. I mean, your personal life has affected my professional life. So it's,
I've taught Josh how to, do podcast recording now. So
yeah, I'm front end and back end.
And in real estate, I just want to bring it back. In real estate, we talk about the 3 Ds and the things that create resets for us. And if you're in real estate and you love real estate, I think that's one of the things that is a little bit addictive, if you will, that it's constant change and you kind of have to thrive on that. We talk about diapers, divorce, and death, that those 3 things are always going to happen. That's always going to create an opportunity in real estate. But I'm glad we're pausing today and we're talking about shit happens.
Yeah.
And I hope you don't have to edit that out, but it really does. And it's that mid-year time that you stop and you say, okay, what's changed? And I love what you're saying, Ryan, is, and I want to reframe it, and you can agree or disagree, but shit happens and it creates vulnerability. And it does in the market and it does personally. So how has that made you feel to have to stop, drop? And I know how independent you are. I know how incredibly resourceful you are. And talk about, over the past 4 to 5 weeks, what does that look like for you and what has it done?
Oh, man. Yeah. Like you said, Kathy, I'm very much an independent person. And for me, it was my right Achilles that I ruptured. So it's that's my driving foot. I couldn't drive, I couldn't do anything. So that right off the bat, one of the first things I thought about was, I can't get anywhere that I need to. And so for me, having to start to rely on others around me, I'm obviously very thankful. I have family, friends, and my fiance who have really stepped up and helped me out whenever I needed to. And I think it's forced me to, like you said, be very resourceful into how I had to adapt to everything, whether it was, something work related or, just getting groceries. I think anytime you experience that kind of event, whether or not it's a traumatic, life-changing event or, something happened in your personal life or whatever, you might have that initial shock, right? That's normal to feel oh crap, what do I do? How do I get this done? And then from there, it's literally how are you able to respond to it? How are you able to figure out, you can still you can still do it. You just got to figure out, how do I get around this? How do I get around that? And for me, it was literally, how do I move when I literally can't use half of my lower body? Like,
right. I think it's also, you kind of learn from these. We've already used the word shit, so I'm going to use it again. You learn from these shitty times, right? Kathy, I know you talked about when we first started this podcast, you were kind of talking about the concept of, so many agents during 2020 and 2021 were having the best years that they'd ever seen in their career. And then when things started to level out a little bit, people started to freak out. But it was, you kept using the phrasing of it's the real successful ones that can do it during the times of shifting markets or times of crisis, not just when things are going great. And so I think you learn from the times when, Ryan is now in a walking boot and he's probably appreciating that he once had 2 movable legs that could drive him to and from places. And so you really, like, in those times where times are hard, if you can learn from those times when they're easy, it's that much easier. Does that make sense?
It does. And I want to go back to something Ryan said, and Ryan, you may not have even realized, but there was such wisdom when you said, I've had to respond differently than I thought. And for both of you, to me, that wisdom, that's the difference in professional maturity. And it can be professional maturity. It can be personal maturity. There's a big difference in responding and reacting. Reacting is what you do when you're underprepared, when you're not resourceful, when you're in a panic mode. That's reacting. Mm-hmm. Responding is the ability to assess. Okay, this is my situation, and I still have the same goal. And for our realtors, as well as for Ryan or anybody else who's looking at an adjustment, a reset, you still have that same goal.
Sure.
When you respond, you're going to hit that goal versus reacting is a panic. It's oh my goodness, I've got to do something. And you will most likely not get that same result. And, before the show, guys, we were talking about the NBA finals. Mm-hmm. And in any sport, just like with real estate, just like with your professional career, it's not that championship series. It's what gets you there, right? It's what you do in preparedness. It's what you do if it's running suicides, if it's running the bleachers, if it's whatever those fundamental things are to get you in shape, to have the stamina to respond and not react. So that would be, to me, the message to the listener today is lean into your experience. If you don't have the experience, for viewers who are new to real estate, lean into those that do and say, okay, I need to go into response mode, not react mode. What do I do next?
Yeah. Kathy, I think you are such sound advice. And I want to ask you, whether it's been recent or maybe can you talk about in your career or in your personal life, professional life, was there a time that you felt a reset? You felt you needed to reevaluate how things were going, or maybe, not necessarily you tore your Achilles in an adult football league game like Ryan, but something along those lines.
So you would actually have to be running to probably tear your. And I make it a goal not to run.
You would think I ran. I didn't even run. I literally planted my foot, and that was it. Like, that's all it took.
I want to come back because I've got a lot of questions about that. Like, maybe it was what everybody says. It was like a pop, and you knew immediately.
Yeah.
It was mine very personally. And if this is a story you don't want to hear, we can edit it out. But probably 10 years ago, I was with a company and a brand and a network that I adored, and I lost that job. And a lot of it, I'm going to choose to believe, was circumstances due to a change within the organization, a change of philosophy due to a stockholder versus a stakeholder mentality. And guys, I was devastated because you know how dedicated I am to work, and you know how much of my life is filled with work. And when I lost that, I was devastated. Mm-hmm. Now, the response, honestly, because I had a lot of support, but the response was to, Kathy, go do what you do best. And that was consulting. So I went into an independent consulting mode and did that.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but how long was the feeling of devastation, if you don't mind me asking?
The pain of it was years before I could talk about it, honestly, because it was that much of a betrayal and that much of a hurt. But getting back on my feet was quick because a lot of it was pride. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't want people to see the hurt, and I didn't want to feel like a failure.
Sure.
And like I had failed. So that perspective took a long time. But now that I look back, what a blessing. And that sounds so frilly and bullshitty, but what a blessing. Because guys, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be with you if it had not been that broken road. If I had stepped in that capacity, would I have been happy? Maybe. Would I be having the impact that I am now? Would I be loving what I'm doing? Absolutely not. So, that's my hope with everybody in the real estate industry is there are going to be adjustments. And to go back to previous, you kind of have to be an adrenaline junkie to be successful in this market or in this industry, because if you just can't be complacent, you can't be happy with that. But I got to tell you, being fired was honestly one of the best things that ever happened to me. Yeah, because it pulled out of me something I didn't know I had.
Well, and I think that's why we wanted to emphasize that we would be discussing these sort of things both personally and professionally. Not to be the pessimist in this group, but like life can suck sometimes. And it's kind of a matter of how you deal with the crappy parts of life that make the better part, not to sound preachy, but make the better parts that much better. And so for you, Kathy, you can now sit here at Realty ONE Group, a part of this podcast. We, all love working together and everything is so great. But when that day that you initially lost your job, like it wasn't great, And so there's like, it's just very beautiful that you're able to take something that, I'm going to use the word again, was really, really shitty and turn it into something that you actually are viewing now as a life lesson.
Right. Tough as it is.
Yeah. I mean, and that obviously this might be a terrible segue, but because I don't consider anything that we've said failures, but we all learn from mistakes. We all learn from failures. If you've never made a mistake, if you've never failed at anything, you're probably not a person I would like to hire or be on my team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Life is about risk. And I think there's a difference in knowledge and wisdom. I think and a lot of people have a lot of knowledge about this industry, and the wisdom comes from failing and failing forward. Kay Yowitt, University of North Carolina State University, phenomenal women's basketball coach, always said, you're going to fail, just make sure you fail forward. And I think about that a lot. When you pick yourself up and look back, make sure you're a step ahead of where you tripped. Yep. And just keep moving on. Just keep moving forward. That's the key to it.
Oh yeah, that perfectly like segues into like where I'm at like in my personal life right now, because like yesterday was like literally when I got out of the cast. I'd been in the cast for like 3 weeks, and now I'm in a walking boot, and like my doctor like cleared me to start partial weight bearing. So from the injury when it happened up till yesterday, like I put no weight on that foot whatsoever. So it's been over a month. Like just watching you guys both know, like I'm obviously a very active person. I like exercising. I like playing sports and all that. So like it took no more than a week for me to start noticing like, holy shit, like my right like leg is starting to atrophy, and like to see like the decrease in like the muscle and all that stuff. And just to feel like that helplessness. And finally yesterday being able to like start putting that weight, it's really like, I know I'm literally going to have to learn how to walk again pretty much. Right. But it's like, and I know like it was like tough to like just to not be afraid to like, even with the help of crutches, like even put that foot down and feel like, okay, I can take a step. And it like, there was like obviously some minor pain like into it. And like, mentally like preparing myself for that. Cause like, that's, I think, going to be the bulk of my life for like the next like 6 to 8 weeks is like, you got to learn how to walk. And it's again, like as preachy and as like motivational speaking, like as it sounds like I'm literally, it's that speaks to me. What you just said, Kathy, is like, you have to be able to fail forward. Like I'm literally just trying to step forward. And I know like it's going to take me personally, like a long time just to make sure like I can get that motion going again. But it's like, I know where I want to be. I know like where I'm trying to get to. And it's literally like, I literally just have to take those steps.
Yeah. And what they're going to tell you in therapy, I'm willing to guess, and I want you to think about me when they say this, they're going to tell you heel to toe, because you're going to have to go back to fundamentals. They're going to say heel to toe, meaning you plant your heel first and then you roll up to your toe to get that step back and for your foot to function accordingly so that you're not just flapping that foot. And to take that to the real estate, we've probably got people on the call that are saying, I got to go back to fundamentals. Ryan's talking about taking that first step. We want to encourage all of you, raise your hand. If you've been in the industry a short while and you're like, man, I need to sharpen the blade. I need to get back. I need to be more fundamentally solid than I am. If you've been in the industry a long time and you're thinking, shit, I've forgotten some stuff and I need to sharpen the blade and I need to retool, or I need to figure out how to implement technology. I need to figure out how to use video. We're resourceful. We've got a lot of tools. We've got a lot of resources at ONE.U for you. We want to be a part of that success. Be humble. What we're talking about is be vulnerable, be humble, be okay to say, I got to learn to take a step, or I've got to learn to pick myself up and realize that being fired is not failure. It's a stone in that broken road that's going to take me to the next place.
Kathy,
and just be okay. Yeah.
You stole my line that I've been sitting on for this whole entire episode, where I was
call the episode there.
I was literally ready to plug ONE.U because we're talking about resets, and I thought that's the perfect place for everybody to go, but you already took it from me. So just to reiterate, please, everybody, go to One University. There's something for everyone there. If you're looking, we're halfway through the year, a little bit over halfway through the year. It's a perfect place to reset, reevaluate, re-inspire yourself and really knock it out of the park in the latter half of 2023. You could tear your Achilles in an adult football league game. You could get pneumonia like Kathy got a couple weeks ago. I just got a new puppy, which is a great thing, but it's also a ball of hell. I'm on no sleep. And so there's things that are going to happen in your life, but, it's also, you can also use those things, whether they're good or bad, to benefit you personally and professionally.
Hey, Josh, that's the 4th D: diapers, divorce, death, and dogs.
It feels like I have a brand new baby at home. It really does. He's actually here right now. He's the rest of the team is watching him because he's kind of being a terror all over the office.
Dad's got to work right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Dad's at work.
Yeah. But yeah, I know that this was just the 3 of us today, and we have a lot of great guests lined up for the rest of the year. And so we're so excited to have them on. But we hope we could have provided just a little bit of, inspiration, help you reset, reevaluate, whatever you want to do. But yeah, as I said, and as Kathy said, a great place to start is, ONE.U. It's unlike anything else in the real estate industry. Would you agree, Kathy?
I do. And what I want to throw out there, learning at realtyonegroup.com. Anybody who's struggling right now, please just drop us an email. Let us, if you need a little one-on-one time, lean into us.
Yeah.
If you don't have that partner there, if you don't have that professional mentor, let us do that for you. We're here for you, and we want to be that resource.
Yep. And, I want to thank both Kathy and Ryan for joining me today. And I want to thank Ryan for being on camera and showing everyone his pretty face. We hope to have him on again soon. And hopefully his leg is healed soon, so I'm not in the studio alone right now. But yes, please email us at learning@realtyonegroup.com. Be on the lookout for many, many more episodes with some great guests. And yeah, we will talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you,
Thanks,
Ryan.
guys. Thank you.
We thank you for joining us today on another episode of One on One, a Realty ONE Group podcast. We are powered by One.U and ask if you have suggestions, recommendations, or questions, please email learning@realtyonegroup.com. And remember, pay close attention to the details, listen to understand, not respond, and always be a resource, not a sales pitch.